Hi, everyone. I'm Lloyd Albert with AAA Northeast Public Affairs. For the past 120 years, our dedicated employees at AAA have been providing emergency service to members driving their gasoline-propelled vehicles, and our plan is to continue doing so for decades to come. But recently, a new class of vehicles have come onto the scene, namely electric vehicles. And although at this point barely 5% of new car sales are electric, it's expected that in the next 3 to 4 years, many new makes and models will roll onto dealer showrooms that are either hybrid or fully electric and built by mainstream manufacturers like Ford, General Motors, Hyundai, Nissan, and Toyota. With the goal of demystifying this relatively new electric vehicle phenomenon, two Rhode Island experts in clean transportation programs are joining me this morning on this webinar to share what's involved in this major transition to vehicle electrification. And after their brief 30-minute presentation, you'll hopefully walk away having a clearer understanding of how EVs work and whether or not you might be a candidate for an electric vehicle at some point in the not too distant future. My two guests are Sarah Canavaro, the Administrator of Clean Energy Programs at Rhode Island's Office of Energy Resources, and Matthew Moretta, a Program Analyst who works closely with Sarah on clean energy issues impacting the state. To get us started, let me turn it over to you, Sarah, to walk us through the presentation.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today's webinar will be focused on the basics of electric vehicle ownership, charging infrastructure overview, and rebates and incentives available to Rhode Islanders. The Office of Energy Resources, OER, is the lead state agency for energy policy and programs with a mission to lead the state toward a clean, affordable, reliable, and equitable energy future. OER develops policies and programs that respond to the state's evolving energy needs while advancing environmental sustainability, energy security, and a vibrant clean energy economy. OER is committed to working with public and private stakeholders to ensure that all Rhode Islanders have access to cost-effective, resilient, and sustainable energy solutions.
We'll begin this presentation by breaking down the basics of electric vehicles. Next slide, please. Hybrid electric vehicles, plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, and battery electric vehicles, also called electric drive vehicles collectively, use electricity either as their primary fuel or to improve the efficiency of conventional vehicle designs that rely on gasoline. Only the battery electric vehicles are zero emissions. Hybrid electric vehicles, like a Toyota Prius, are powered by an internal combustion engine and an electric motor that uses energy stored in a battery. Hybrids do not need to be plugged in. They use regenerative braking in an internal combustion engine to charge the battery. The vehicle then captures energy normally lost during braking by using the electric motor as a generator and storing the captured energy in the battery. This generated power provides extra power during acceleration, allowing for a better fuel economy compared to the traditional non-hybrid version. Plug-in hybrid electric vehicles use batteries to power an electric motor and use another fuel, such as gasoline or diesel, to power an internal combustion engine. As their name implied, plug-in hybrid electric vehicles can be plugged in to charge the battery. Plug-in hybrid electric vehicles have a larger battery pack than hybrids. This makes it possible to drive using only electricity for some distances, usually 10 to 40 miles, commonly referred to as the all-electric range of the vehicle. A common example is the plug-in Prius, known as the Prius Prime, which can run on a battery or the internal combustion engine. An all-electric vehicle, known as battery electric vehicle, uses a battery to store the electrical energy that powers the motor. EV batteries are charged by plugging the vehicle into an electric power source. Although electric vehicles have not reached price parity for similar conventional and hybrid vehicles, owners can offset costs through fuel savings, tax credits, or other incentives. EVs also have a shorter range per charge than conventional vehicles, but new models are boasting ranges such as 400 miles, 500 miles or range, and the less expensive models are starting to target a 200, 300 mile range for a $30,000 price point. According to the U.S. Department of Transportation Federal Highway Administration, 100 miles of daily driving is sufficient for over 90% of all household vehicle trips in the United States. Next slide, please. please. The electric vehicles you see here include models that either came out this year in 2022 and ones that are much anticipated for their release in 2023. As of September 2022, there were 32 battery electric vehicle models available in the United States. As we near 2023, early projections estimate that there will be over 40 available models at this time next year. From the front row, left to right, you'll see the Volvo XC40 Recharge. This was released in 2022 with the start price of $53,000. Then to the right of that, you see the Rivian R1T, one of the new and few fully electric trucks, released in 2022 with the starting price of $67,000. And then we'll go from the middle row to see the other fully electric truck, the Ford Lightning, released in 2022 with a starting price of $52,000. Followed by the highly anticipated model year 2024 Chevy Equinox, expected to be released sometime in late 2023 with a starting price point around $30,000. And then the bottom row, you'll see the Lucid Air Pure, which is the entry-level vehicle expected to be released sometime in 2023 by luxury EV automaker Lucid. Followed by on the right to that, you'll see Subaru's first attempt at an all-electric vehicle, the Subaru Solterra, with a starting price at $44,000. Next slide, please. Now let's talk about savings. To the right of this calculator, you will notice a fuel cost and savings calculator, which is located on the Environmental Protection Agency's fueleconomy.gov website that compares the annual cost of fuel for a regular gasoline vehicle versus a battery electric vehicle. Vehicle A base model Honda Civic, gets a combined 33 miles per gallon using unleaded gasoline. Vehicle B, a base model Chevrolet Bolt, gets a combined 115 miles per gallon using electricity. Both vehicle scenarios assume the driver of either vehicle drives roughly 10,000 miles a year, mostly city driving, with an intent of owning the car over a 10-year time frame. Based on this scenario, the EV driver is looking at yearly savings of $643 with a little over $6,000 in savings on fuel for a decade of ownership. These prices are based on the average electricity price for the Chevy Bolt in Rhode Island at 18 cents per kilowatt hour, and the AAA month-ago average for regular gasoline at $3.87 a gallon. Next slide, please. And fuel isn't the only savings associated with switching to an electric vehicle. Maintenance needs and safety requirements for hybrids and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles are similar to those of conventional vehicles, while battery electric vehicles require significantly less maintenance. Battery electric vehicles have fewer moving parts, fewer fluid changes, their brake wear is significantly reduced due to regenerative braking, and the battery motor and associated electronics require little to no maintenance. This graphic is from a recent study conducted by Argonne National Laboratory, which shows the scheduled maintenance costs per mile for conventional vehicles, hybrid electric, plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, and battery electric vehicles. The first bar, labeled ICE fee for internal combustion engine vehicle, shows the average maintenance cost per mile of operating a gasoline-powered vehicle is 10.1 cents per mile, whereas the last bar, labeled BEV for battery electric vehicle, shows the average maintenance cost per mile of operating an electric vehicle is 6.1 cents per mile. For example, assuming the average driver drives roughly 10,000 miles annually, a gas-powered vehicle would cost roughly $1,010 per year, while battery electric vehicle maintenance costs noticeably lower at $610 a year, amounting to over $400 in savings annually when driving an electric vehicle on maintenance-related issues. Next slide, please. If you're interested in learning more about fuel savings or different fuel cost breakdowns specific to your vehicle of interest, you can check out the fueleconomy.gov website. This website is a partnership between the Environmental Protection Agency and the Department of Energy, providing extensive information on electric drive vehicles, including a list of available, new, and upcoming models. The electric drive vehicle section of the Alternative Fuels Data Center website contains a wealth of information, including technology basics, emissions, availability of charging, and several other topics such as comparing different models and types of electric vehicles, and additional maintenance and safety concerns. Next slide, please. Now let's talk about fueling or charging your car. To keep plug-in hybrid electric vehicles and electric vehicles running, they need to be charged. Next slide, please. Charging equipment or electric vehicle supply equipment for plug-in electric vehicles and electric vehicles is classified by the maximum amount of power provided to the battery. Charging times range from 15 minutes to 20 hours, depending on how empty the battery is, the type of battery, and the type of charging equipment. There are three basic types of chargers: Level 1, Level 2, and DC fast chargers. Level 1 charging stations provide roughly 4 to 6 miles of range per hour on a 120-volt outlet, which is what you would plug in your hair dryer to, for instance. A Level 2 charging station charges at roughly 12 to 40 miles of travel per hour of charge using a 240-volt outlet. These charging stations will be more commonly seen at workplaces or shopping malls. Whereas the DC fast chargers provide a full range or full charge for electric vehicles ranging from a charging time of 15 to 45 minutes. These chargers are not for home use and will be seen more and more at publicly accessible areas such as supermarkets, park and rides, and other off-route areas. Next slide, please. In order for fleet drivers and consumers to charge their electric vehicles and plug in hybrid electric vehicles in public, charging stations must be deployed and integrated with consideration of daily commutes and typical driving habits. Publicly available charging stations increase the useful range of electric vehicles and reduce the amount of gasoline consumed by plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. The majority of electric vehicle and plug-in hybrid electric vehicle owners will charge at their home, roughly 95% of the time. In contrast, urban area residents of high-density housing have only on-street or garage parking. Therefore, public chargers must be available to give electric vehicles and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles broad appeal in cities. General public charging uses level 2 or DC fast charging to enable faster charging. The public charging infrastructure consists of locations where vehicle owners are highly concentrated, such as shopping centers, city parking lots, garages, airports, hotels, government offices, and other businesses. Widespread public charging infrastructure will help facilitate the penetration of electric vehicles and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles and help address consumer concerns regarding range anxiety for vehicles with limited range. The ability to charge at work can double the daily feasible commuting distance for an electric vehicle or a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle driver and allows fleets to charge their vehicles overnight. From this picture here, you can see a Tesla charging at a DC fast charger location located at the Providence Place Mall. Next slide, please. Most charging stations have their own phone app, which allows you to check charging station availability, check charging station details such as location, price, charging speed, whether those chargers are being used. There are options such as a wait list where you can reserve your spot and ticket in line. You are also able to pay or scan directly from the app, while also being provided phone app notifications notifying you of EV charging status, idle fees, or whether or not your time is ready to charge at the charging station. Next slide, please. Here you will see a public accessible GIS map from the Department of Environmental Management, Office of Air Resources, that shows Rhode Island statistics for the latest number of registered electric vehicles in Rhode Island, as well as public charging station locations. As of October 2022, there are currently 6,275 registered electric vehicles in Rhode Island. 3,428 are battery electric vehicles, and 2,847 are plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. As of December 9, 2022, There are currently 247 Level 2 charging stations and 33 DC fast chargers available throughout the state. These numbers will continue to increase as more electric vehicles are registered in Rhode Island and federal funding programs become available over the next 5 years, unlocking further infrastructure deployment. Next slide, please. There are also numerous resources that you can use to find locations for charging infrastructure. Most online resources are maps like the one displayed here, showing showing the EV Hype charging station locator. They allow you to locate the charging station and filter options such as level 2 charging stations or DC fast chargers, whether or not they are publicly available, 24/7, or if they have any other time limitations regarding your charging session. These maps also include information relative to the cost to charge or if it's free. There are other websites such as plugshare.com, the ChargePoint app, Tesla app, and the Department of Energy's Alternative Fuels Data Center that give you just about the same information as mentioned above. Next slide, please.
So, as you've learned throughout this webinar, electric vehicles do cost less to operate, but in contrast, they tend to cost more upfront than traditional conventional vehicles. State and federal rebates can help with that. Next slide, please. You can start by checking out the federal 2023 tax credit under the Inflation Reduction Act, which allows purchases of all electric or plug-in hybrid vehicle to apply and receive a federal tax credit of up to $7,500 on your tax returns. The amount you receive depends on the specific value, make, battery size, and automaker sales numbers. The IRA also established a first-time credit for used vehicles. The used vehicle tax credit is $4,000 or up to 30% of the vehicle price, whichever is lower. Next slide, please. There are a few requirements that need to be met in order to apply and receive the 2023 EV tax credit. The new requirements for the new vehicles are the following. A vehicle is eligible for 1/2 of the total credit, so $3,750, if the vehicle has battery components that are manufactured or assembled in North America. To be eligible for the other half, a vehicle must have critical minerals that were extracted or processed in the U.S. or countries with which the U.S. has a free trade agreement or use critical minerals that were recycled in North America. Final assembly must take place in North America for the vehicle to be eligible. Only cars under 55,000 or SUVs, vans, and pickup trucks under 80,000 are eligible for the credit. On the consumer side, the income cap for the eligible for the credit, is $150,000 for single filers, $225,000 for head of household, and $300,000 for joint filers. The requirements for used vehicles are slightly different in comparison with the new EVs. The vehicle must be under 25,000. The vehicle model year must be at least 2 years old, based on when the consumer is purchasing the used vehicle. In order to be eligible, the vehicle must be sold by a dealer. As with the new EV tax credit, the used EV tax credit has income caps for consumers as well. The income cap to be eligible for the used EV credit is $75,000 for single filers, $112,500 for head of household, and $150,000 for joint filers. The credit can only be applied once per vehicle, and the used EV tax credit will take effect next year, January 1st, 2023. Next slide, please. If you're interested in learning more about the federal 2023 tax credit or how to apply, you can start by visiting the IRS website and clicking under the Credits and Deductions tab. You will find information about the EV tax credit, how to apply, and will have access to downloading the IRS tax form 8936, which you will use to report the appropriate line when you file your 1040 tax return. The other resource listed here is the Alternative Fuel Data Center website that has the list of EVs with final assembly in North America. This list is very important because only the vehicles listed here qualify for the 2023 federal tax credit. Next slide, please. Switching over to the state incentive, driving Rhode Island to vehicle electrification, known as Drive EV, is an electric vehicle rebate program administered by our office, OER, to support adoption of electric vehicles by Rhode Island residents, small businesses, nonprofits, and public sector entities. Drive EV is a new program designed to accelerate the adoption of EVs by Rhode Island drivers with the potential to drive important policy goals. The rebate program launched July 7, 2022. Next slide, please. Drive EV is broken down into 3 different rebate programs: the standard individual EV rebate, the Drive Plus, which is an income qualified enhanced rebate, and the Drive EV fleet rebate. The standard rebate provides rebates of up to $2,500 for the purchase or lease of new battery electric vehicles and fuel cell electric vehicles, and up to $1,500 for new plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. The program also offers rebates of up to $1,500 for the purchase or lease of used battery electric vehicles and fuel cell electric vehicles, and up to $750 for used plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. Drive Plus provides additional incentives of up to $2,000 for qualified Rhode Islanders who purchase or lease an eligible electric vehicle and meet certain income requirements. To qualify for the Drive Plus rebates, applicants must participate in a state or federal income qualified program or submit a self-attestation form of income for those applicants that meet the low-income guidelines based on household size. And last but not least, we have the Drive EV Fleet, which provides EV rebates of up to $2,500 for the purchase or lease of new battery electric vehicles and fuel cell electric vehicles for qualified small businesses, nonprofits, and public sector entities, or $1,500 for the purchase or lease of used battery electric vehicles and fuel cell electric vehicles. There is also an additional incentive of $1,000 rebate per vehicle for applicants located in high asthma municipalities. Next slide, please. Once you purchase or lease your electric vehicle, you have 120 days to submit an application online and upload all required documentation. If your application is approved, it takes approximately 6 to 8 weeks to receive your rebate check through the U.S. Postal Service. If you're interested in learning more about the Drive EV rebate program or how to apply for the rebate, please visit www.drive.ri.gov. Next slide, please. This is just a quick snapshot of the latest Drive EV rebate program statistics. As of December 1st, 2022, we have approved 143 applications, 132 standard Drive EV rebate applications, and 11 Drive Plus rebate applications. We've allocated roughly $332,750 and have approximately over $900,000 left for the Drive EV rebate program. Our top 3 electric vehicle brands we've issued rebates to are Chevrolet, Hyundai, and Tesla. The dashboard can also be found on our website. Next slide, please. Now, during the Drive EV public comment period, one of the top feedback we received was for our office to create a rebate program for electric bicycles. Therefore, we created the Erica Nadowski Memorial Electric Bicycle Rebate Program. This e-bike rebate program is in memory of Erica Nadowski in honor of a dedicated public servant, journalist, and clean energy advocate. Erica passed away in October 2020. This e-bike rebate helps increase access to zero-emission electric bicycles, making them more affordable and accessible to Rhode Islanders. E-bikes are not only fun to use, but they also reduce your carbon footprint while running errands or commuting to work, not to mention the health benefits that comes with riding your e-bike. This e-bike program launched on October 24, 2022, and it is an extension of the Drive EV rebate program. Next slide, please. So there are 2 separate e-bike rebate options. The standard rebate, which is up to $400 or 30%, whichever is less, of the final purchase price of an e-bike or e-cargo bike. The income qualified rebate, which is up to $1,000 or 75%, whichever is less, of the final purchase price of an e-bike or e-cargo bike. There's a limit of 2 rebates per household. For the income qualified rebate, the applicant must be enrolled on the state or federal income qualified program, just like Drive EV, or submit the self-attestation form of income, which is attached to the application once you submit it online. The program requirements apply to both rebates, and such include the applicant needs to be at least 18 years of age and show proof of Rhode Island residency, The e-bike needs to be purchased from a business located in Rhode Island, even though online purchases apply if the e-bike is delivered and picked up from a local Rhode Island store. Rhode Island taxes must apply to the purchase. And final but not least, the e-bike purchase date must be on or after the program launch date of October 24, 2022, as rebates are now retroactive. Next slide, please. Similar to the Drive EV rebate program, once you have purchased your e-bike, you will have 180 days from date of purchase to apply and submit all required documentation for the e-bike rebate. If approved, it takes approximately 6 to 8 weeks to receive your rebate check through the U.S. Postal Service. If you're interested in learning more about the program or how to apply for the e-bike rebate, please visit the same website as the Drive EV, which is www.driveri.gov, and click under the Erica Nadowski Memorial Electric Bicycle Rebate Program tab. Next slide, please. And just a quick and other snapshot displayed here for the e-bike rebate program statistics. As of December 1st, 2022, we have approved a total of 78 applications, 45 standard rebates, and 33 income qualified rebates. We've allocated roughly $55,000 and have approximately $195,000 left for the e-bike rebate program. Next slide, please. For more information on what we've gone over in today's presentation, you can visit any of these websites. They have all great information and content about all the content that was provided in today's presentation. Next slide.
So, I think we're at the Q&A portion here. This has moved along very quickly, and what the two of you have provided today is effectively a how-to on how to move forward into the electric vehicle space. Matt, you covered, the brands that are available. You talked about the charging infrastructure, what to be worried about in terms of range anxiety. Really, all the things you need to think about as you move through this important process. And Sarah, you've given us a lot of information regarding the state and federal assistance to folks who are interested in moving forward. Now, we know that there are 285 million vehicles in the US that are driven but propelled by fossil fuels. But we know that people are starting to move into this electric vehicle ecosystem. And for many of them, the question is, can I do it? Will it work for me where I live? Do I live in an apartment building where there's no chargers? Can I afford the vehicle? And you've really provided an awful lot of information that is so useful to people making up their minds about all of this. And for those who view an electric bicycle as not only a recreational tool, but maybe something to run errands with, to commute back and forth to work, this is one other option. And when you look at that $1,000 rebate on the bicycle program, that is significant for people who are interested. So you've done us a real service today in providing a lot of great information. Before I let you go, though, I would want to know from you, Sarah, your thoughts. What do you think is the biggest impediment at this point in Rhode Island to moving forward with an electric vehicle as a consumer?
Yes, so at this early stage in the adoption of electric vehicles, one of the largest obstacles to broader uptake by average motorists is the high cost of these vehicles compared to traditional gasoline-powered cars. There's a significant barrier for many people, especially those on a tight budget. One way to address this roadblock is by offering financial incentives for people to buy electric vehicles, such as the tax credits or rebates. These incentives can help offset the higher upfront cost of an electric vehicle and make them more affordable for the average person. Additionally, the government can help invest in building out charging infrastructure, which will make it easier for people to charge in their electric vehicles and help alleviate the range anxiety, which is another common concern amongst potential EV buyers. And last but not least, another effective way to address this roadblock to electric vehicle adoption is to increase education and awareness about the benefits of these vehicles, such as their lower operating costs, environmental benefits, and potential for improved public health. By providing accurate and comprehensive information to the public, we can help people understand the potential and advantages of electric vehicles and help them make informed decisions about whether they are the right choice for their needs.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are waiting with great anticipation about the launch of the Chevy SUV, the Equinox, that'll be priced at somewhere around $30,000. And when you factor in the rebates available to folks, it could be a soccer mom, it could be somebody with several kids, 3 kids, taking them back and forth to Little League practice, etc. All of a sudden, you have options here in 2023 and beyond that make this far more affordable and a reality for families and individuals. So I think we're all looking forward to price parity that you just addressed. Some people are saying that price parity might end up happening in 2027. I know we had one car company came out last week and said they think that'll happen as early as 2025. So I would argue the sooner the better. So with that, I would invite our listeners, thank them first of all for joining the webinar this morning, today, and also to go to AAA.com for more information on electric vehicles and to access the websites that both Sarah and Matthew showed on their slide presentation. So to both of you, a very big thank you for taking your time this morning to walk us through all of this, and wishing you both the very best. So for AAA Northeast, I'm Lloyd Albert. Thanks for tuning in and have a great day.